Charles Olivera sends a warning to JDM ahead of Islam Makachev fight. Let's get started with our first story. Charles Olivera has sent a strong warning to Jack Della Maddalena ahead of a highly anticipated clash with Islam Makachev. Jack Della Maddalena shocked many in the MMA community earlier this month when he defeated Belal Muhammad at UFC 315. The win secured him the welterweight title and marked a major turning point in his career. However, former lightweight champion Charles Olivera isn't convinced that JDM will hold on to that belt for long, especially if he ends up facing Islam Makachev. Olivera believes that if Makachev manages to take JDM down, the fight will be finished right there. In his eyes, the difference in grappling and submission skills between Belal and Islam could prove to be the deciding factor in the matchup. As of now, there's no confirmed date for the Della Maddalena versus Makhachev bout, but all signs point toward it being booked soon. Immediately after Jack claimed the title, Islam announced his intention to move up to 170 pounds and challenge for a second belt. UFC President Dana White later confirmed that the promotion is on board with the plan, and that Makachev will be granted a title shot at welterweight. In a recent interview with Full Violence, Charles Olivera shared his thoughts on how he sees the fight playing out. He said, "I think Islam is going to do very well at welterweight. He'll be much stronger. It's a game where you just have to grab Maddalena and put him down. I think Jack will try to fight like he did against Belal. Keep moving, land shots, and avoid the takedown. But if Islam gets a hold of him, it's over." Olivera's breakdown reflects the general consensus among many analysts and fighters in the game. While Belal Muhammad has excellent wrestling, he doesn't possess the elite ground control and submission arsenal that Makhachev has built his reputation on. Islam's ability to dominate on the mat has made him one of the most feared fighters in the UFC, and many believe that will carry over into the welterweight division. Still, there are valid questions surrounding Makhachev's move up in weight. Will his wrestling be just as effective against naturally larger opponents? Can he maintain the same level of control and pressure at 170 pounds? And will the power difference at welterweight be a factor? Let us know your thoughts. Are you picking Makhachev or Della Maddalena if this fight happens? In the meantime, Charles Olivera has his own battle ahead. He's set to face Ilia Topuria on June 28th in a bout that will determine the new lightweight champion. Footage has already been released of Olivera filming promotional content for UFC 317, and fans are eagerly awaiting that showdown. That fight is shaping up to be a must-watch event, and we'll keep you posted on all the developments. Garry versus Shawn Brady next. The welterweight title picture gets interesting. Moving on to our second story, could we see Garry versus Shawn Brady next? All signs point to it being a very real possibility. Shawn Brady is now knocking on the door of a title shot in the UFC's stacked welterweight division. Currently ranked number 2, Brady has made it clear he's just one significant win away from making his case for a championship opportunity. And the opponent he has in mind for that next step? Rising Irish star Ian Machado Garry. Brady surged into the title conversation back in March, when he shocked the MMA world by submitting former champion Leon Edwards in the 4th round. That win marked his 3rd straight victory and showcased not only his world-class grappling, but also his ability to stay composed under pressure against top-tier opponents. Meanwhile, Garry has also been making headlines. Just last month, he delivered an impressive performance against Carlos Prates, earning a stoppage victory and reaffirming his position as one of the division's brightest young talents. Garry, now ranked number 6, continues to build momentum and has openly expressed his desire to face elite-level competition, and Brady is at the top of that list. With the new welterweight champion expected to face Islam Makachev next, the rest of the top contenders are looking for meaningful matchups to keep themselves relevant in the title conversation. That includes names like Shavkat Rakhmonov, Kamaru Usman, Joaquin Buckley, and of course Brady and Garry. In a recent clip, Shawn Brady didn't hold back, expressing his desire to face Garry next. "Me and Ian, it's the fight to make. He talked about it the other day. I think it's going to happen. So Ian, if they send the contract, let's do it." Brady seems confident that the matchup is not only realistic, but likely to be booked soon, and he's not alone. Garry has also indicated that he's open to the challenge, and a few weeks ago, Brady expanded on the idea during an appearance on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. "I'm fine with it. Let's do me and Ian Machado Garry." People are surprised I keep saying that, like, "Oh, you don't want the title shot?" Of course I do. But there's Shavkat Rakhmonov, Islam, Kamaru Usman, and Joaquin Buckley in the mix. We're all gonna have to fight. That statement perfectly sums up the current state of the welterweight division. With so much talent clustered near the top, nobody is likely to get a title shot without proving themselves in another high-stakes bout. A Brady versus Garry showdown could easily serve as a title eliminator, and stylistically, it's an intriguing clash between a grappling heavy fighter and a precise, confident striker. What do you think? Should this fight be made next? And if it does happen, who walks away with the win? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Islam Makachev's coach fires back at claims he's ducking Ilia Topuria. On to our next story, and it's one that's been making waves in MMA circles. Islam Makachev's head coach, Javier Mendez, is setting the record straight regarding recent claims that the reigning lightweight champion is ducking Ilia Topuria. The speculation began shortly after Islam announced his intention to move up to welterweight and pursue a second world title. Some critics and fans quickly pointed fingers, accusing him of avoiding the newly crowned featherweight champion Ilia Topuria, who recently made it clear he's ready to step up to 155 and challenge the best in the division. But according to Mendez, these accusations couldn't be further from the truth. Speaking in a recent interview, the AKA head coach clarified that Makachev's move to 170 has nothing to do with Topuria, and everything to do with a long-term vision that's been in place for years. This move isn't about Ilia at all, Mendez explained. Islam and I have been discussing the possibility of going up to welterweight since before Topuria was even in the conversation. This is part of his legacy goal, to become a two-division world champion. In fact, Mendez said that if Belal Muhammad had won his title fight against Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 315, then Islam would have stayed at lightweight and fought Topuria next. That matchup, according to him, was already being seriously considered. If Belal had beaten Della Maddalena, that lightweight defense against Topuria would have made total sense. But when Jack won, the welterweight opportunity opened up, and that was something Islam had been targeting for a long time. The plan, as Mendez described, was simple: rack up a few lightweight title defenses, then move up in weight to pursue double champ status, a path walked by greats like Conor McGregor, Daniel Cormier, and Amanda Nunes. We had that conversation early on, Mendez added. Islam told me, "Coach, I want to dominate lightweight first, but if the chance comes, I want the welterweight belt too." This isn't about avoiding anyone, it's about maximizing his career and cementing his legacy. So while some fans may see this as a duck, Mendez insists it's nothing more than strategic planning based on timing and opportunity. That said, Mendez didn't shut the door on a future showdown between Makhachev and Topuria. In fact, he hinted that the fight could still happen, especially if the welterweight matchup doesn't come together as expected. If for any reason the 170 title shot is delayed, Ilya's definitely still an option. He's talented and brings a lot of hype. It could be a big fight later this year. For now, Makhachev is focused on making history at 170, but the Topuria question is far from over. What do you think? Is Islam ducking Topuria, or is this just smart career planning? Let us know your take. Next, Chael Sonnen gets heated with Islam Makachev's team. Over a phone call, tensions are rising in the MMA world, and this time it's Chael Sonnen who finds himself in the middle of a heated exchange with Islam Makachev's camp. The drama began during the good guy, just bad guy segment with Daniel Cormier, where Sonnen gave his take on Makachev's recent announcement to move up to the welterweight division. Chael implied that Islam's decision may have been motivated by a desire to avoid a showdown with Ilia Topuria, the surging featherweight champion who's made it clear he's targeting the lightweight belt next. Although Sonnen didn't explicitly call Makhachev a coward, many in the MMA media ran with that narrative, interpreting his comments as questioning Islam's courage and competitive drive. The reaction from Makhachev's side came quickly and harshly. Islam Makachev himself fired back online, not holding back in his response. He dismissed Sonnen as an average athlete who achieved nothing, and claimed that the former title contender had built his entire public image off of cheap trash talk rather than in-cage accomplishments. The story didn't end there. Chael took to his own YouTube channel shortly after to clear the air. In his video, Sonnen denied ever using the word coward to describe Makhachev and addressed a private phone call he received from Islam's longtime manager, Ali Abdelaziz. "Let's be clear, I never used the word cowardice," Chael explained. "Too many syllables. Someone in the media misquoted me. Ali called me and said, 'My brother, I respect you, but..." and then defended Islam's move to 170. And you know what? I didn't argue. I actually get it. This isn't about Ilya, it's about Islam not wanting to go through the brutal weight cut anymore. Chael elaborated that Abdelaziz was calm and respectful throughout the call, emphasizing that Makachev's decision was part of a long-term plan, not a reaction to any particular contender. Still, Makhachev wasn't buying it. Responding again on social media, he doubled down. Average athlete who built his way to the top with cheap trash talk won't understand, so just sit and watch how others do it, Uncle Chael. Makachev's jab at Sonnen reignited the conversation among fans and pundits. Is this just classic fight promotion, or is there real animosity brewing between the two camps? What's clear is that both sides are standing their ground. Sonnen, never one to back down from a public spat, seems content letting the fire burn, while Makhachev and his team continue to focus on their welterweight ambitions, aiming to secure the 170-pound title and add to Islam's already impressive legacy. One thing's for sure, this feud, whether rooted in real tension or just media drama, has added even more intrigue to Islam Makachev's next move. And with the MMA world watching closely, don't be surprised if these verbal jabs escalate before someone steps into the cage. Moving on, Arman Sukian versus Paddy Pimblet. The lightweight division could be on the verge of another high-stakes showdown, and it might just feature top contender Arman Sukian taking on rising star Paddy Pimblet. Initially, Sukian seemed unsure about the matchup. Sitting at the #1 spot in the lightweight rankings, Arman had his eyes set on more elite competition. Opponents ranked closer to him in the title picture. Paddy Pimblet, currently ranked 8th, didn't appear to be a likely option for someone on the brink of a title shot. However, things have taken a turn. In a recent interview with Red Corner MMA, Sukian softened his stance and revealed that he's now open to facing Pimblet, and even sees some upside in the matchup. He looked very good in his last fight, Arman admitted. He's never lost in the UFC. He just beat Michael Chandler and has a big name. Maybe he fights at the end of the year, but I want to fight this summer. I'll take it. More fans from the UK. It's a notable shift in attitude. While Sukian remains focused on getting to the top, he's now acknowledging the value of fighting someone with star power and mainstream appeal. Pimblet brings both. The Liverpool native has amassed a huge fan base and has proven to be one of the most marketable fighters on the UFC roster. His recent win over Michael Chandler, a former title contender and one of the most explosive fighters in the division, further elevated Pimblet's stock. It showed that he can compete with the best and gave him credibility in the rankings that he hadn't fully earned with previous performances. From Sukian's perspective, a fight with Pimblet is a calculated risk. He's taking on a dangerous opponent outside of the top 5, but the potential reward in terms of fan exposure and momentum is hard to ignore. A dominant win over someone with Pimblet's popularity could help Sukian solidify himself as the undeniable next title challenger. There's also the timing factor. Arman wants to stay active and is looking to compete this summer. If Pimblet is available and ready by then, this could be one of the biggest non-title fights in the division. For Paddy Pimblet, the opportunity would be enormous. A chance to fight the division's #1 contender and potentially jump straight into the title conversation with a win. That's a career-altering moment. Nothing has been officially announced, and both camps are likely evaluating their options. But with Sukian now publicly open to the fight, the ball is clearly in the UFC's court. Will they make it happen? With both fighters surging and fan interest likely to be high, Arman Sukian versus Paddy Pimblet could end up being one of the biggest fights of the year in the lightweight division, even without a belt on the line. And finally, Dana White under fire from undefeated featherweight Movsar Evloev. Movsar Evloev is making headlines, not for a new win inside the octagon, but for calling out UFC President Dana White and the promotion's matchmakers in frustration. Despite holding an undefeated record and riding a dominant 9-fight win streak in the UFC, Evloev has been repeatedly overlooked in the featherweight title conversation. The latest snub, rumors that Alexander Volkanovski may be headed toward a rematch with Yair Rodriguez, a fight many fans didn't expect to see again so soon. Understandably, Evloev isn't happy. He's done everything the UFC asks of a rising contender, stayed active, taken short notice fights, and consistently delivered winning performances. Yet, his name still hasn't been seriously considered for a title shot or even for a high-profile title eliminator. With frustration mounting, Evloev recently went public, sending a strong message to the UFC brass and warning that he won't continue to be ignored for much longer. 9 wins, no losses. What else do I have to do? Evloev said in a recent interview, "I respect Volkanovski, I respect the division, but I've earned my chance. I'm not here to be used to build someone else's name. If I have to speak louder, I will." Evloev, known for his technical striking and elite-level wrestling, has quietly built one of the most impressive resumes in the featherweight division. While he hasn't yet secured a finish in the UFC, his dominant decision wins over names like Diego Lopes, Hakeem Dawodu, and Dan Ige have made it clear. He's a serious problem for anyone at 145 pounds. But in an era where marketability often outweighs merit, fighters like Evloev often find themselves in limbo. Without the trash talk, dramatic callouts, or viral moments that catch Dana White's attention, fighters like Movsar are left waiting for a call that may never come. Now, with rumors of Volkanovski versus Rodriguez 2 swirling, Evloev has chosen to go on the offensive. He's hinted that if he doesn't get a top 3 opponent next, he may begin turning down fights that don't serve his career goals. It's a bold stance, but one that comes from a place of clear frustration. "I'm not afraid of any man in this division," he added, "but I won't be treated like a stepping stone. If the UFC wants to keep the best fighting the best, then give me my shot." While Dana White hasn't responded directly, UFC fans have taken notice. Many believe Evloev deserves a shot at someone like Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, or even Ilia Topuria, depending on how the division shakes out. With 9 wins in a row and no sign of slowing down, Movsar Evloev is making it harder and harder to deny his place in the title picture. And now he's letting the UFC know, loud and clear, that he's done waiting silently.